That's just a plane, not a drone. Now, can we stop calling them drones? They're obviously UFOs, people. Come on. It's all over the world now. It's not just in a little thing in New Jersey. Just saw one from China today. It's all over the world. What do you think? That some country, Iran, has the capacity and the capability to monitor and fly these drones all over the world at the same time, doing the maneuvers that they're doing? I mean, not trying to scare everybody, but they're here.
More and more UFO sightings are happening all around the world. More than any other time, people have been documenting, taking pictures and videos of these manifestations in the skies. Some are referring to them as drones, UFOs, and others just don't know what to do about them.
There's been more drone sightings across the country. The latest report in New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. The White House says there is no evidence the reported drones pose any threat, but that's doing little to calm concerns. People in Southern California are also reporting mysterious drone sightings, and one person captured video of lights over Temecula.
In today's video, we are going to examine the different theories that are being made about UFOs. What connection does this have with the final times in which we live? And what else does the Bible have to say about these matters? Without further ado, let's get to it.
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
From the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water.
These are 6-foot drones that are somehow evading our detection. They are not being detected.
They're saying no threat, but how the hell do they know? They don't know anything. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it come from. They don't know nothing.
They know that they can't track them. They know that they don't emit a signal. They know that they can't see them when they turn their lights out. They also indicated that they don't know where they come from. They don't know where they go to.
One family claims they followed a drone in their car, and while it hovered above them, the clock in their car changed times.
Some of the FBI agents that have been assigned to look into this have reported drones flying over their homes.
It's right here over Picatinny. There was a drone just hanging out. I put my drone up in the air and went towards it. I had full battery life. Not 3 minutes into the flight, I lost control of the drone. Warning on my screen, lost control, and my drone started going down dead.
These are fully charged batteries. It's 2 batteries that have died within seconds, and the drone went up and, like a couple feet off the table, and then came right back down.
Okay, you see it? You see how it goes? See how it goes? And then it becomes a spacecraft or aircraft or whatever you want to call it.
Did this get smaller? Bro, what?
Above the ocean, and it was low, very low, but so bright and so clear, and it was huge. Like when you...
I'm concerned. I issued a letter to ask for more information, and I think there should be a lot more transparency about that.
Can you make that make more sense? Because I think people in New York and New Jersey see drones the size of an SUV over their house every night and think that that doesn't make any sense.
I understand why people would be looking at this and being concerned about it. We're concerned about it too, which is why we have the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. My goodness, looking at this, and we're taking it seriously.
In the following video, we're going to listen to President Donald J. Trump answering a question about these manifestations that are happening in the skies, and I want you to hear carefully what he has to say.
Yeah. Good to see you. Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
You
Want to
shoot
know
them
the
down?
truth. They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been
Do you have any reason to think they're... According to the elected president, the government knows what is happening. And the reason they're not commenting on it is because they have a role to play with these matters. Some very interesting remark. Now, we must be asking the questions, why now? Why is this happening all of a sudden? Well, that's going to be answered by the following video that we're going to listen to on YouTube. This is Chase Huge. I'm going to put a link to his video in the description below. Go give him the viewership and subscribe to his channel. He's going to tell you 3 reasons why this is happening at this time. Let's pay attention.
So let's dig in. So why would this be happening right now? So we're going to go both sides. It's aliens, it's not aliens. Let's do both sides here. Most governments don't just usually open up about things like this without a reason. With all governments, when they start pushing a narrative, it's most often to serve a bigger agenda if this is deliberate. So here are 3 possible reasons I can think of why this might be happening. Number 1, a distraction tactic. When huge issues are brewing, like economic instability, political unrest, global crises, somebody's done something bad and it's about to get in the news, governments usually and very often create some kind of distraction. So remember when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020. That conveniently happened during a global pandemic, this chaotic thing that was going on around the entire world that we all suffered through. Number 2, using fear as a tool. So fear unites people. So if there is a threat big enough, and I want you to remember, if you're just listening to me right now, I'm sitting on your kitchen counter or something like that, and you're making dinner, I said the word threat with huge quotes around it. If there's a threat big enough, like UFOs, people are more likely to trust their leaders, give up freedoms, and rally behind whatever solution that they're offered. It's the same playbook used during the Cold War. This was called the Red Scare for that reason. Or post 9/11 with the War on Terror and the Patriot Act. And then number 3, testing the waters. This goes back to BC years. All 3 of these things go back to the BC years. This is not something that's original. So governments tend to test and gauge how people react. So if we accept UFOs as real and we don't freak out, that means we can kind of escalate the narrative without any pushback. So think of it like kind of a slow drip instead of pouring it all out at one time. And if you want to look back at some of these historical parallels, this is not the first time this has happened. Just a few that come to mind right now. The first is the Gulf of Tonkin. This happened in 63 or 64, 1963 or 64. The United States used extremely questionable reports of attacks on naval ships, which were not true, to justify escalating this Vietnam War. And then in 1962, we had this thing called Operation Northwoods. This is a declassified plan about the U.S. officials staging, quote, fake attacks, completely fake attacks, like blowing up planes with people in them to justify military actions against Cuba. And in the post 9/11, what I would call a fear campaign. So after the attacks, governments push for these just sweeping changes like the Patriot Act, which expanded massive surveillance under the guise of terrorism. So if you just replace terrorism or communism with UFOs, you can start to see a pattern.
According to Chase Huge on his YouTube channel, there are 3 reasons why these UAPs, UFOs, / drones are on the skies in New Jersey and different parts of the world. Number 1, it's a form of a distraction, distracting humanity from something even worse, something that is happening that we are not supposed to be paying attention to. It's a form of a distraction for the government to get to do whatever else that they might be working on. Secondly is using fear as a tool. using fear as a tool is getting people on board as well. When people are afraid, they tend to surrender their constitutional rights and they give up into the fear. And as a result of that, people will trade fear for safety. So out of safety, people will lose out in their human rights and constitutions, and the government can do whatever it is they want to do. Next, testing the waters. That helps to find out where people are at the moment, and also to see what else could be done, whether it is to turn up the heat on these matters to see where things are going. These are some very, very interesting reasons that he gave that I think we should consider. Now, let's move on to the next part of our video. In this video, this lady is going to speak to us about a NASA physicist. His name is Warner Von Braun, and he is going to he revealed some things to her, and she's relaying the message, telling you part of the deception and part of the move going on behind the scene with the government is that they are going to use the aliens. And that's like the last step to bring about this massive deception, whatever it is that they're up to. These are her words. Let's take a listen.
About why we shouldn't be putting weapons in space. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
All right, you've seen that, you heard that, and I hope you learned something from that. Now, we're going to move on from there. There is another theory out there as well. That next one is this idea. It's called Project Bluebeam. Now, it is a theory. Some call it conspiracy theory, but it's out there. But it does say something to the entire thing. It does seem to explain somewhat of what is happening here if you connect it to the government and what is taking place behind the scene. Now, let's hear a little bit more about Project Bluebeam, what it is all about.
Project Bluebeam. Can you describe what that is?
It's the ability to stage, through very advanced technologies, an alien attack or an alien event. And it's a whole series of them. Now, what most people don't know about, since late 50s, early 60s, like the Barney Hill case and all that, those were all human assets abducting innocent people made to look alien. And so that psychological warfare was authorized in 1953, 54. 1954, we mastered gravity control. So we started deploying these assets to begin to condition the public that there's a scary threat from outer space. I mean, look at Hollywood, Alien, Ridley Scott's the movies. If you want to see a script for what's coming fairly soon, look at the movie Independence Day. Okay. It's right out of central casting for this covert group. So what their whole purpose is to create sort of a global militarized totalitarian superstate of the world fighting another world. It's like War of the Worlds. Okay. And that's been a 70-year.
What I'm here to tell people is that when Project Bluebeam is used, again, it's not going to be by the United States. It's not going to be by national. It's going to be by global government. They're the ones who are going to use this stuff. And it's going to be not just a bunch of pretty holograms. They're going to be using it for religious figures. They're going to have Jesus in the sky, but it's not just going to be holograms. There's going to be voice-to-skull technology. It's also going to be used. They're going to be able to have these figures speak to every human being on the planet. Imagine the impact of that they're going to be able to see the figure and also hear the figure talking to them. It's amazing. I think that is the particular reason why Jesus said in the Bible, my sheep hear my voice and they will recognize my voice. And I think that was an anticipation of when this operation goes forward. And it's going to go forward in conjunction also with the great fake alien invasion. It's going to go forward with that. And who knows, it's going to be also a sweetener. It's going to be, instead of, we're going to have, maybe 10 or 20 UAPs that have incredible destructive capacity against our cities. But then with Project Bluebeam, they can make those appear like 200 or 300 or 400 UAPs. See, that's what they can do. And also these holograms, we call them holograms because that's the word that we know. But they're going to probably have the capacity for noise, for sounds, for solidity, temporary solidity as well. And then you can say, well, but then that's not a hologram. Well, yeah, it's probably going to be something that is several steps above a hologram as well. So these are the things that we're facing. And these things are going to be faced all at once. That's the reason why I try.
All right. So you heard a little bit of what Project Bluebeam is all about. By the way, this is a video that's on the web out there. And again, I can show you hundreds more, but people are saying this is what Project Bluebeam could do. And I want you to think about this. It's actually very interesting that people have the ability now, we have the technology to create stuff like this. That is very interesting, extremely interesting. There's also another video out there that is also confirming another fact. When President Ronald Reagan gave the speech at the UN, he made reference to aliens' attack as a mean of uniting us and put aside our differences for the world peace so that we can fight this common enemy. Some people are making the connection that if he had said such a thing, it may be true that the supposed aliens on the skies are the reason to bring the world into unity, to bring about whatever the government has in mind to do, which is to fight against this common enemy. Only God knows what this common enemy actually is. But let's take a listen.
Yet need it be so? Cannot swords be turned to plowshares? Can we and all nations not live in peace? In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
You can work with that however you want to. Okay, so I'll let you decide. But here is another theory, that these drones are in the sky in the hope of finding nuclear weapons. This was posted by Joe Rogan, and this is massive when Joe Rogan posts something like that. And he, in essence, he's somewhat saying this might be the case for why these things are happening. And I want you to consider part of this video. We're not going to do a whole 9 minutes video of this one, but at least the first 3 minutes to hear what this man has to say. Take a listen.
Hey, everyone. My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military-grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, if you think it's whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay, we don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas.
All right, these were some of the theories that are out there when it comes to these drones, these UFOs and UAPs, as they are being referred to. I would let you make up your mind, but I would like to also include one major idea to consider. Whether or not these are real, artificial, man-made, using for different reasons, that is yet to be fully determined. But here is the thing. The Bible says, great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from the heavens. So we are given counsel from God that there will be these things happening in the heavens, whether they are man-made, whether they are supernatural. First of all, I would like to first consider the natural realities, the man-made concepts, yes. But there's also a supernatural manifestation that could also take place. Verse 25 of Luke 21, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the wave warring. Men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. The Bible says when we see these things, keep in mind, Jesus is coming soon. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud of great power and great glory. Revelation also has another text that oftentimes we speak about, Revelation 13, we speak about it in verse 15, that there's going to be deceptions in the last days. But I want you to see something here. We are told that he doeth great wonders so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And I thought about that because the person who is doing this in prophecy is the second beast. And the second beast is a symbolism of the United States of America when this is carefully studied. And we've had Bible study on this. Go to our description. In the description of this video, there is the Mark of the Beast series where we break down the United States of America in Bible prophecy. But we are told that he has the ability to make fire. So I wonder now whether the word fire here could mean much more than the way we oftentimes interpret the text, which is we believe this to be a false fire because he deceives others. So we tend to connect this to a false manifestation of the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit is considered fire in the Bible. So if this is a deceitful fire, therefore it's a false manifestation. But I'm wondering if there might be more to the text. The fact these fires come down from heaven in the sight of men and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. So these signs are the reasons why people are deceived to give in to the image of the beast formation, which is the union of church and state. So that gives more power to the government and as well as the state to work together for the purpose of uniting the world to save us from this common enemy. So if this is the case, there could be a connection to this idea of lies and deceptions and strong delusions and signs and wonders, whether it is natural or supernatural, as long as it serves the same purpose, it doesn't matter. So I'm wondering, and again, I got to study this a little bit more. I'm hoping you can see what I'm trying to see here, how much these fires play a role in deceiving the masses to unite them for the formation of the image of the beast, which will eventually lead to the mark of the beast and the worship of the beast. And then no buying and selling except you have received the mark of the beast or the name of the beast or the number of his name. These are things that are yet to be considered, and I'm still studying the matter. But I would like to hear from you. What do you think is happening here? Where do you stand when it comes to these different theories that I've just shared with you today? What have you learned from this video? I'm also going to link at the end of this video a study that I did called The Devil's Final Move, where I spent time going through an entire catalogs of videos alongside with the Bible and the book of Revelation, paralleling some of the moves that the enemy is going to take to bring about a massive deception in the last days in connection to UAPs and UFOs. And it's pretty interesting study. It's about an hour and 30 minutes long. So I'm going to link it so you can check it out as well. Anyway, friends, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the page, click the bell icon for more. Check out what else we got going on here. We have links and a number of things happening in this channel. Keep us in your prayer. We'll do the same for you as well. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.